All right, guys. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for
It's
having
been
me.
great to have you, but we're going to jump right into the next guest right away. So we're not going to have, any more breaks. We're just going to keep plugging along because that's what we're here for. All right, so next up, we've got Dave Williams, senior designer. That's quite the title. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I had a whole lot of fun today.
I bet you did.
But,
Is there a name people would know you better by?
Sear Storm was my title and is my call sign.
Looks like they need to speed up the walking rate for the medics a little bit, huh?
Yeah, it's rough, especially when the guy in front of you is sprinting and you're trying to keep up with a heel gun. But you do what you can when your job is to keep everybody alive.
All right. Well, actually, some of these titles can seem pretty vague to a lot of people out there. So, what exactly do you do?
My focus here at Red 5, I've been here for quite a while. I've been here for about 5 years. My focus is on a lot of the class progression, abilities and weapons and experience point curves and that sort of thing. So a lot of the items, a lot of the abilities, a lot of the weapons, that sort of thing.
I'm really glad to hear that there's still a studio where no matter who you are, you're doing a little bit of everything. I mean, it's real gratifying to hear that. So your suffering as far as staying up late nights makes me a happy man. But yeah, guys, I mean, once again, any questions that you have out there in the community, we have the chat, we have Phobos to jot them down. Feel free to send them to us. But in the meantime, what have you been working on most lately? What's been occupying your main crunch time?
Well, the last 3 or 4 weeks, the team I'm on has been working on the progression for the game. We added, probably about 25 new abilities to the game. Probably about 10 to 12 new alt-fires to the game, lots of vendor stuff, lots of backpacks and battle frames, and lots of new modules that boost up your weapons and your battle frames and that sort of thing.
So we touched on armies a little bit earlier today, but I think that might still be a new concept, especially for the kind of game structure that you're going for. So how do armies level up exactly?
Army progression is largely tied to the tech tree, right? So as the players are performing any of the in-game activities, whether it's PvP, whether it's PvE, maybe you're going out with some buddies and you're going to go run one of the thumper missions like they showed in the trailer. These are collecting resources for your army. And if there's a particular piece of tech upgrade that you want, you might say, well, the best way for us to get this is to go run a thumper mission over at the edge of Dredge. Because that area's got the best resources for what we're trying to accomplish with our tech tree. And so that's really where most of the army progression is coming in, is that tech tree. So you go out, collect the resources, get them refined, get that new piece of tech that your army's been needing.
And obviously it's not going to be an easy task.
It wouldn't be fun if it was easy.
Wow. Okay, I'm kind of getting these handed to me. I need more hands, obviously, but here's a big one. Are there going to be any vehicles in player versus player?
Ooh, interesting question. Am I allowed to answer that question?
Matt wrote it down, so...
Will there be vehicles in PvP?
You wrote it, dude.
How do I answer this question? We haven't shown any vehicles in our PvP yet.
No, you haven't.
No. I would say that vehicles are definitely something that we have in our build right now. We do have vehicles that you can use. We do have PvP that you can play. And I think from there, I'll let people draw their own conclusions. Is that enough of a dodgy answer that's a bit of a hint?
You've been in the industry for a while, I can tell.
Hey, thank you. This is actually the first video game I've worked on. So before this, I was actually working on in the tabletop industry for about 12 years.
I want to talk to you later.
Oh, okay.
So we saw 5v5, and that was somewhat limited by the number of people here. And I'm still really proud to say that this is a pretty small studio considering. Very cool. But how big can these PvP matches get?
They can get, from a technological point of view, they can get as big as they will remain fun. Our servers can handle a really substantial load, and so we keep pushing the PvP out bigger and bigger and bigger internally in our tests until it's just not fun anymore, until you feel like sort of a cog in the machine, and it's not really, you don't feel important anymore. Our internal maps that we've been running most recently, like in the last month or so, we've got 30, 40 people but what we're capable of is in the hundreds. So I mean, it really just depends on finding out how big we can get and still be fun. You don't want to feel like, what you're doing is unimportant. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, and there's not a lot of comparisons to be drawn to anything else really as far as that goes. So, okay, Stevie, grade 4 from High Elementary,
Excellent.
writes, as you level up, do you get more powerful?
Well,
Actually, yeah, that is a good question as far as multiplayer PvP balance goes.
Yeah, I actually just wrote a dev blog pretty recently about progression versus power, and it was pretty well received. So swing by the website to check that out. Give you a bit of the summary of it, which is that our game has sort of 2 different directions for progression. Like most of the more traditional RPGs, there is a certain amount of what I call vertical progression, which is pure power, right? Damage and health is pure power. But one of the things that we're really focused on is, for our progression, is more of a horizontal progression, which is by leveling up and improving your character, you're going to be opening up new options. So maybe you start the game with a simple weapon and only 1 ability. And then as you level up, you gain access to backpacks that have 2 abilities, and then 3 abilities, and then 3 abilities with a new powered-up secondary feature of that ability, and so on and so on and so on. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And I think we already saw some of this. Actually, no, I don't think the people on the stream did get to see this. But one more question for you. It'll be a small one. It's easy. Pressure's off.
Okay.
You don't have to talk about vehicles anymore. Are there going to be male and female battle frames?
Oh, absolutely. We have male and female battle frames right now. And all of our classes can be played both ways. That's not specific. Whatever, either male or female, you want to make your character, there's no limit to what you can play.
Very cool. Well, Matt, I thank you for being here. I thank you for what you guys are doing. Yeah. Well, we've got a ton more. And you've been keeping that seat pretty warm.
Who's next?
Actually, I think the lamp is doing that. I need more hands. Yeah. This was totally planned out. Oh. And, all right, guys, next up, we've got Adam McMahon. McMahon? And he is the art lead. So all of the, well, everything you see on the screen visually stems from this guy. So how you doing?
Well, I definitely won't take that much credit.
Wise man.
Doing great. Yeah, I am the art lead on FIREFALL, and definitely something that's been a massive pleasure for me to work with not only the talented team that I have here, but also just in general on such a really fun and inventive art style.
Very cool. So first off, what direction? I mean, what are you guys trying to accomplish, you and your team, with the art style of the game?
So what we set out to accomplish was to make something that wasn't too cliche and something that hasn't really been done out there before. You have cel-shaded games, you have they're photorealistic games, and it's like, well, what can we do to really take it to the next level? What's going to be something that people are familiar with, that they really enjoy, but yet has some unique flavor to it. So we worked really hard and went through a lot of iteration after iteration on trying to create a style that really set us apart from other games. So we took a lot of influence from different manga and anime, as well as more Western influence, to try to find a merger that would appeal globally to the rest of the world. So
very cool, and no small task. I've seen the walls of bits of art in various stages of completion, but yeah, you guys have bitten off a lot. As a streamer, I'm really happy for the bright colors. I'm really happy about the bold outlines. It makes streaming a heck of a lot easier. So how much of the gameplay that you guys were trying to accomplish, how much did that influence where you went with the art styles?
As far as the gameplay goes, the art style itself was something that we wanted to kind of really take it to a different direction, and that hasn't been done before. Most shooters out there, especially at the time that we were coming up with the inception of the style of the game, hadn't gone the direction that we'd gone. It's mostly photorealistic games. You have Unreal Tournament, you have Quake, Just before that, TF2 really kind of broke ground with it, but they took it a little bit to the extreme side as far as cartooning goes, and something that was really simple yet sold the shapes of the characters very well. So you had a class-based shooter that distinguished itself with very identifiable silhouettes in their characters. Something that was really important that we also strive to get, so that when you have a class-based shooter, you knew exactly what class somebody was playing, what you're going up against at any given time from how far away they were. So that basically, made it really important that we focused on, shape and design of the characters over, any sort of specific art style. The art style itself was just something that we really wanted to kind of, carry into new grounds. So.
What about the world environment itself? I mean, the models, as you said, have really great silhouettes. It's really easy to tell who's a medic, who's an assault, who's a recon so far, and that is great. But the world itself and the design of it, I mean, the terrain and the buildings, we actually haven't seen all that many buildings yet, but what are your general thoughts on the world design?
Well, the world design, it's kind of a nice homogenization of photorealistic elements into it, but taking it to the next level. I mean, this is, you're talking about a familiar locale and stuff like that, but at the same time you want to make it really fantastical and somewhere that people enjoy spending a lot of time in. Typical Earth and typical buildings and things like that you see in most games, they're really cool, but we've all seen it and done it there before. So we want to take it to another level that kind of makes people not only feel like there's something familiar about it, but at the same time it's very alien. So we definitely went with very creative, lush, and colorful environments. Too many games right now are doing the brown and gray, black and gray. As far when you look at photorealistic games, so we wanted to really punch up the color, make it something that's very inviting for everyone to play.
I think you've punched the color so much it's leaving it a little bruised right now, but that's a good thing. That's a real good thing. It's very, very refreshing, and I totally thank you for doing what you do to the degree of skill that you've shown so far, and I look forward to more.
Great, thank you.
All right, cool. All right, guys, next up. I know there are several of you out there who are going to go completely rabid over this. We've got the man, Phobos, the guy who has to take... Oh!